Our next interview guest is an artist who attributes great significance to mental health, being vulnerable and being real with his fans, who he rather calls his community. We described him in the past as somewhat of an antithesis to mainstream German rap, as he produces English-speaking rap out of Germany. Forbes seems to find this guy somewhat interesting, as he not only made it onto the Forbes 30 Under 30 list Germany and the cover in 2019, but also by being recognized by Forbes US earlier this year and put on the list of Forbes Europe. He has bought himself out of his record deal with Sony Music Germany, now owning his entire catalog, and that's why he wants you and the world to know that I own my masters. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kelvyn Colt.
Hello.
Hi, Kelvyn. Now I can see you again.
Doing?
Sorry, you were gone for a second. I was super confused.
Yeah, my laptop likes tripping sometimes when it comes to using live setups.
Oh, I see, okay. Where are you joining us from today?
Right now, I'm in my car, believe it or not, because due to Corona, I'm spending a lot of time with my family. And we live in the countryside and we have dogs. And every time there's like people walking around, they go super loud and you hear it in the whole house. So I wanted to make sure that there's nothing that disturbs us. So I just quickly hopped into the car.
Is it a Benz truck?
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, it is? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so Kelvyn, a couple of days ago, you posted your Spotify Wrapped 2020 on your Instagram, which is Spotify's tool or feature for artists to post the milestones of the past year. And yours said that you had about 29.8 million streams from 4.2 million listeners that are from 92 different countries around the globe, right? And in your Instagram caption, you highlighted the fact that you've reached this with doing English-speaking rap in Germany, and B, by being all independent. So I guess my first question for you would be, how do you feel about those numbers, and how has the still quite short journey of being an independent artist for you been so far?
I mean, it's a very interesting one. The numbers are obviously something that, everyone is very, very proud of. It's only been a year since we've, gone independent, and it's been a lot of hard work. It's also comes with a lot of, just working a lot of stress. But it's also, I guess, more rewarding in that sense. And, everything has its cons, everything has its pros. There's certain muscle that major labels have, but then there's also restrictions that come with that system and that muscle. So, yeah, it's good.
Okay, so you signed with Sony when you were 22, and you publicly announced in March that you bought back all your major rights. Also, you stated that with being independent, you can basically make just as much money as being signed with a big label. So, I guess my question would be, how do you do that? Like, how does Kelvyn Colt make his money?
Well, actually, it's really interesting. I think for every artist it's very differently, but independently, you probably make more money than being with a label, just because you make, every stream that comes in, every sale that happens, minus the distribution fee, the money goes to you. If you sign to a record label, there's loads of small print where they keep on deducting more and more stuff, and you only recoup with your percentage split. Now, without trying to go too much into the technicalities, but the best sort of situation for you is definitely to be independent. Me as an artist, funny, because we did the tax returns not too long ago for last year. Majority of the money, mind you, I was still signed, obviously, 2019 to a major label. But most of the money did come from brand deals. And even though there has been income sort of flowing directly towards me now, this year from music, still, I think this year most of the money will come from brand deals. That is just because the whole economics around music have changed, obviously, a lot. Back in the day, you would buy an album for €10 or $10, whatever your local currency is. and or 15 or whatever, and now you make 0.0001 cent per stream. So we're talking roughly $3,000 for a million streams. So those of you who are quick in the audience, you can do the math now on 29 million streams, which sound a lot, and they are a lot because it's difficult to generate that sort of number. But if we're talking payment-wise, imagine your song has been listened to 29 million times, but that's only a few couples of $10,000s of dollars in terms of revenue. So it's definitely more the brand deals that drive the revenue.
So your tour is coming up in March, Mind of Cold, Part 2. Starting point is Germany, but then you also want to go to different European countries as well.
Yes.
First of all, do you think it's really going to happen? And secondly, can you tell us a little bit more what's going to look like? You told us that it's going to be interactive and it's not going to just be for the eyes and the ears.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the most important thing I think I have to address here is I think everyone's touring, or everyone that is sort of responsible when it comes to touring, their whole touring setup and schedule is definitely based on the local government's policies and how they're dealing with the global pandemic. So I think in a grand scheme of things, we will definitely have to move the tour. I will also make an announcement in regards to this later on today. If not today, then tomorrow. It's a tricky one for everyone. It kind of depends on how quickly we can get back to normal touring, if it will ever be normal again. The original plan was to sort of literally from the moment you enter the venue up until the show is over to have a multi-sensory experience. We were planning to scent the venues, to have it interactive, that you can dial in with your phone and have an influence on what tracks are being played, how the show goes down, and also color-wise, light-wise, what happens on stage. And then also it touches back on the merch, how we interact with how you as a consumer, as a customer interact, as a fan interact with the merch. But I don't want to go too much into detail because obviously it's supposed to be a surprise once it finally happens.
Okay, I see. But let's talk about when you introduced the tour. You said on Instagram that you're not paying yourself or your management a fee because you want to offer your community as inexpensive tickets as possible. So was this a strategic decision? Because thinking of you also as an entrepreneur, by the way, you're holding a business, a degree in business enterprise. Maybe some of you guys don't even know that about Kelvyn. But do you think this is entrepreneurial? Does this make sense?
I mean, no, especially speaking about the whole economics of, distributing music in this day and age. From that standpoint, it definitely does not make sense. Where you really make your money as an artist in this day and age, unless you're really, really huge. We're talking brand deals, we're talking live shows, we're talking merch. But that came more out of a feeling that we want to give something back to the community that has carried everything and brought everything so far. I mean, even sort of the average ticket price of my shows compared to a lot of other artists is fairly cheap. And that whole idea just came about because a lot of people have lost a lot of money. They're not making money, and was sort of thinking, okay, the live shows is really where everyone comes together and we all have a great time together, and how can we make that as accessible for everyone as possible? And it's definitely inspired also by J. Kohl had the Dollar in a Dream tour in the US that we saw in the past, and there was a British artist called Slow Tie who did something similar. So we were just looking at how can we make, the access, how can we lower the barrier of access to the fans.
Okay. Let's switch over to some questions from your community. We've got quite a lot. Let's see. Okay. Anna Puma asks, if you could change anything about the industry, what would it be?
That's a lot. I think it's really a lot of things. I don't know where to start because it depends also on the perspective that everyone has and what role they play. obviously, that you have to be aware of. I think it would be amazing if it would be the transparency that we have gotten through, social media in the digital age, and that everything has numbers and we count streams and so on is amazing. But I think that it's also really, really toxic because we tend to value art and artists by their numbers. And I think that's really dangerous because there's a thing where people go rather for the popularity rather than for the art. And yeah, I would make it less quantifiable.
Okay. What is your advice for upcoming multilingual artists?
Ooh.
Question from Sinner the Greatest.
Yeah, I guess that person is an artist as well. I would focus very heavily on the internet, and again, also being local. It's kind of a two-sided approach. On the one hand, the moment you post something, upload something onto any platform, be that SoundCloud or Spotify or YouTube or Instagram, you are global. Even if it is in German, you are technically global, and you just multiply your chances by making it as accessible as possible. But obviously, you multiply the level of competition through that. I would try to connect as much as possible on a local level with people who do what you do. And I would really try and figure out a way how to identify the people that listen to the sort of music that you create. Let's say you live in Germany and you rap in English. There's no point in trying to market to people who listen to German-speaking rap music. You can try to convert them at some stage, but in the beginning, I would try to figure out a way how to market to the people and reach the people with your music that listen to English-speaking artists that are similar to you, because that's just they will be most likely to be interested into what you do, and then you can just take it from there. But yeah, trying to connect locally with people who listen to international music, I think, is the number one aspect.
Okay, and another one from Lone. What are you most proud of that you've done in 2020?
I think I'm not somebody who's really very often proud of things, just because I tend to focus on getting the results. And if the results come in, it's kind of almost expected because I've worked for it or we have worked for it. But it is to reflect. I think I've done a lot of reflecting. I've done a lot of slowing down on things, and I've done a lot of sort of thinking about what do I as a human being that is also an artist and a business entity and so on, what do I want from my life, and where do I want to head with it, and everything else around that. So it's definitely the reflecting that I've done the most and that I'm most proud of.
Well, at least I think you can be really proud of yourself, not just for going independent. Kelvyn, thank you so much for your time. Happy holidays to you and everybody.
Thank you.
Triple by Card Gang.
Love.
See you soon. Bye.